In addition to the robust usages of Classcraft to support personalized learning, blended learning, flipped learning models, and just overall instructional models, Classcraft can also be used very effectively for behavioral assessment or PBIS programs. And I wanted to take a minute to show you kind of that side of things, depending on your purpose in coming to the activity today. So this is kind of my class quest page. This is where I would start. But when I come down here to my class settings, this is where I can modify my behaviors. And behaviors are positive behaviors. So particularly this year when I was working with the fully virtual environment from day one, I had many of the same problems that I had in the spring. Students were not engaging. Students weren't keeping their camera on and using that as an excuse to go play YouTube or go play Fortnite, different things like that. And so, one of the ways that you can really use Classcraft to your advantage, particularly in the virtual setting, but also within the face-to-face setting, is to use it as a behavioral tracker and to reinforce positive behaviors and impose natural restorative justice type behaviors with negative behaviors that you're wanting to change in your students. So on the behaviors page, you can add any behavior. You can tie it to their experience points. So for example, with virtual learners, I had a lot of students who just simply weren't turning in work, or they were turning it in blank. And so if I have a student who completes all of their assignments for a complete week, and all I have to do is just visually check that they've attempted the assignments in addition to any that I'm grading, they can earn extra experience points. Engaging in the classroom discussion. So if you don't want to have your camera on, fine, but I see that you're really engaging. You're answering questions, you're raising your digital hand, attending tutoring, having your camera on in class. All these different things can be customized and adjusted by you. And what's really nice is that you can also adjust them class by class. So if I have one class of really high achieving students and I want them to learn a different behavior where they're more comfortable with failure, or they're more comfortable with acknowledging a growth area, I might reward that class in that way. But if I have another group of students who is maybe more disruptive, maybe they're acting out because they're masking different learning gaps or things like that, I can customize each behavior class by class. And then in addition to the positive behaviors, this is where you can also customize the negative behaviors. So for example, I would have students who would email me after class and just say, well, I couldn't hear you for the entire class, after we'd spent an hour together and they'd had like no communication with me whatsoever to indicate that they had a technical problem. So I can kind of assign a health point deduction for that. And then it also comes to things like turning in blank work, inappropriate use of the chat, unmuting yourself, being late to class, turning in blank assignments, not completing assignments. All of these things can be customized by you. And then you can also adjust the point values so that you can create behaviors that, the more overtly negative behaviors have a higher impact on your students overall. And when that happens, you were then, let's say you have a student whose negative behaviors cause them to lose all of their health points. They have no more health points left to give. Then they have to do something called a pledge. And again, this is highly customizable depending on your overall goals with your students. So a pledge can vary based on the situation that caused the student to lose all of their health points. And personally, I tried to take a very restorative approach to things. I didn't want to just be punitive with students. I wanted to give them an opportunity to reflect and think through either the consequences of their actions, the reasons they took those actions, and then to create different things that they could have done. Classcraft gives you a few examples here. A kudos is sort of like a shout out that they can do within the Classcraft system. You can have them create a short video discussing the decisions that they've made, or have them make a meme about the attitudes that they could change to improve their engagement. But some other options would also include things like attending a mandatory conference with the teacher, writing a letter to your parents explaining what behaviors led to your fall in battle. They would then have to submit the letter to me, and I would have to review it. And then I not only have to review it, but then I have the power to send it on to anybody who has impacted their behavior. If their fall in battle was because they were turning in blank work or they weren't turning in any work, I might have a pledge where they have to attend mandatory tutoring for 3 weeks and they have to work with me to get caught up. So again, the platform is very, very robust and allows you to really meet your students where they are and to do so in a way that matches your approach to classroom culture and environment and what you feel is the most important priority in terms of the positives that you want to see and the negatives that you want to help change.